Oh, hey, how you doing? I drew that. It's not the point of this TikTok. The point of this TikTok is to talk about trade, international economic order, and American foreign policy and how it's influenced the first two. Are you guys in? Not so much. Give me 5 minutes, see if I can win you over. Okay, 1913. 1913 is this magical year that MAGA potatoes are repeating again and again and again, kind of like one of those chimps with the cymbals as they clang them right next to your head. But make no mistake, they are not mentioning anything new. This is not new ideas or new information. Technically, they're just repeating everything that the Tea Party said. Remember the Tea Party, who pretended to be a grassroots organization, but the Koch brothers were actually fully funding their progress? Oh, right then. Okay, so in 1913, this magical era that they're talking about, where tariffs predominantly were the only tax bases fully funding the American government, back when the American government really didn't pay for much except for the military. No education, not really a lot of infrastructure, right? The driving force were communities and state based. But these tariffs weren't imposed because of that reason. The reason why the tariffs were imposed was because when the United States was a baby country, when it won its independence in 1783 from the British Empire, they needed to protect the industries within it. Because if they had their little baby industries go up against the British Empire, they would have been crushed by the weight of their economic prowess. So what did they do? They taxed everybody trying to sell in their market to protect these industries and watch them grow. And they did grow. And as they grew, they demanded higher and higher tariffs in order to protect them. A lot of people think that's a driving force for the Civil War, but that's another TikTok. As they got bigger and as they got stronger, the United States then, once they hit the Industrial Revolution, started selling weapons to everybody who could buy them or everybody who could rent them or everybody who could put a loan out for them. And in that way, through World War I and World War II, because they didn't jump into the war right away, they waited till the very end so they could swoop on in and pretend that they won after they made all of the money selling weapons to all of the sides. They became this huge international force with this massive military-industrial complex that looks an awful lot like a corporation. So as these corporations got bigger, life in the United States got really good. And by the 1950s, after they won those wars, divested all of their money, pulled all of their winnings into their country, they started seeing a downturn. And as they started to see a downturn, these corporations wanted to figure out a new and exciting way to expand their empires. And I do use the term empire because at this point most of those corporations were starting to be more powerful and more economically weighted than many countries in the world. And as their power started to rise, they started to put pressure on the government to reduce all of the, let's say, constraints or regulations about what they could and couldn't do. And you saw this big shift for them wanting to globalize their production. Why did they want to globalize their production? To make everybody rich all over the world? Of course not. They wanted to globalize their production because they saw it as a way to gain more money outside of the United States. Because inside of the United States, you had all these annoying people like unions and health regulations and environmental causes that were costing them money. So what did they do? They pushed for free trade. And now they can talk about free trade. Why? Well, because now they're the big kid on the block. Now they are the empire they used to try to protect themselves from. So when they push this agenda of free trade under the illusion that this should be the natural state of being, all these other countries tried to jump in and try to catch up to where the United States was. So corporations would pull up their manufacturing and put it in poor countries. Poverty profited the corporation. So as they put their company in that country, and as they took advantage of next to no environmental regulations, no labor standards, no health care, no minimum wage to speak of, and here's the real kicker, access to resources within that area that they could strip mine and use, and it would cost them the lowest possible amount for them to grab it, steal it, take it back and sell it in the United States of America. And they did this for years. And when they did this, corporations got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you have CF47 trying to figure out how to gain that power back, how to pull it back. Well, first he's going to start with a culture war because he has to tell the 77 million people who voted for him that there's an enemy out there. And that enemy comes from other countries. His xenophobic, bigoted personality has to scare the hell out of people living in the United States because they have to willingly hand over power to CF47 so he can do all of these, and let's be perfectly honest, unconstitutional, ridiculously abusive and destructive things in order to what? Benefit the United States in their future. So right now his big play is on bringing back tariffs. Why? Because yay, 1913. Even though today's not going to work the way 1913 does. We don't have a time machine. Nobody built the DeLorean. So he wants to reduce all these tariffs. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to lie about the tariffs that other countries are putting on. So he raises them way up and says, don't worry, I'm going to protect you by putting only half the tariffs on them. First of all, this number is a lie. Second of all, some of these countries do have tariffs. Of course they do. Why? Because they too are trying to protect their baby industries. Exactly the same way that the United States of America did when they were a brand new country. So why isn't this fair for them to do today? Why is it a direct attack on America and American sovereignty and independence? Well, it's not. But CF47 wants to make it out to be that. Because if he can convince you that they are the bad guy, you will hand over this power and he'll be able to do whatever he wants. Now, let's follow this through fruition, shall we? He wants to bring back manufacturing back to the United States. Why? Do you think that he's going to bring back manufacturing to the United States and have those corporations make more or less money tomorrow than they're making today? Come on now. There is a straight line for them making more money back in the United States. Here's how he's going to do it. He's going to destroy unions. He's already started. Why do you think he's firing so many civil servants? Why do you think he's destroying companies that already exist? He's going to destroy the unions, thereby destroying minimum wage, destroying benefits, destroying any sort of legal protection for the worker. He is going to get rid of healthcare and social security benefits. Because you want to know the real reason he wants to get rid of all of those things? Because the company has to pay into them too. It's costing the company money. And that's his primary candidate. That's his go-to guys. What the corporation wants. Even better, they've been denying environmental problems for years. No such thing as global warming. There's no such thing as climate change. Who cares? Want to know why he's doing that? Because it costs money. So he's going to bring back these corporations and he's going to attempt to consistently deregulate all environmental standards that we have up until this point in order to save money. Don't think he's still not going to take resources from all of the countries around the world. He's going to use his military strength in order to strong arm that to happen as well. And they're going to bring all of these back in the hopes of what? You're going to join what? A corporation, walk in there for 30 years and get your gold watch at the end? Because I have a last little piece, a little caveat of information. What happens with AI and robotic technology steps into the manufacturing and does the job that you thought Trump was bringing back for you to do? What happens then? He's taking away your education. He's taking away your versatility. You're heading straight for an iceberg, and the only person that has a lifeboat, them.